Assalamu alaikum. Yes, it has been a while. It's been about a month since I've uploaded a video. I've been a little bit busy. Alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity to go to Umrah, went to visit the Haramain, and spent about 9 days. Before my Umrah, I went to Masjid Nabawi. So obviously that took some time. After that, I got the usual Umrah cold and cough, and you could kind of hear it still. By the way, what do you think of this shirt? Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Anyways, today I wanted to talk about divorce and zina, right? The stigma behind divorce is real, and it impacts our society, our community very, very hard. That stigma, obviously, people are afraid to get divorced. When individuals do get divorced, people want to stay away from them. It's very difficult for divorcees to get remarried, especially if you have children. That we will stay in an abusive relationship for years and years and years because we are afraid of the stigma that is surrounding divorce. But this wasn't how it always was. During the time of the Sahaba, people would divorce, and they would divorce often. And it wasn't very difficult for women or men to get remarried after a divorce. But for some reason, there's so much stigma and social pressure and social, disgust or something around divorce that it impacts our children, it impacts our society, and it impacts families and communities, right? I've heard of communities outside of Chicago where they understand that, okay, people get divorced, and they'll still try to facilitate that relationship with the ex-husband or the ex-spouse with the understanding that my children, my grandchildren, my niece and nephew, it's important for them to love their father, to love their mother, and they'll still cook for them. They may even invite them to parties. I know that sounds crazy for Chicagoans, but they still try to maintain this reality that the father and the mother are still there, that we need these children to still be involved with their parents, but that's not happening, especially in the Chicago community, right? It's not happening in the Chicago community where we are open to divorcees, right? We have a black mark, unfortunately, on our divorced sisters, on our divorced brothers, and we try to blame them for getting divorced. But the reality is that a lot of times things just didn't work out. Maybe people changed over time. And I know I talk a lot about the negative impacts of divorce, right, on society. But at the same time, there's many negative impacts on society has on divorced individuals. And you might be thinking, okay, what does this topic have to do with zina? Well, what I've been thinking about is this stigma that is surrounding divorce is so ingrained within us that when our children, our college age children, our high school age children, our mature kids, adults, that they may be involved in a relationship with the opposite gender, right? They might have a boyfriend, they might have a girlfriend, and now they are physically involved. They're committing zina. Right? Literally, they're committing zina. And if you think that this is not an issue, you need to wake up. Right? They are committing zina. And what we're doing is that either we're not acknowledging it or we're pushing it under the rug, acting like it doesn't happen and it doesn't exist. But what we're actually doing is we are now condoning zina. And we are taking the position that zina is okay, or that, you know what? It doesn't make sense to get them married because what if they end up getting divorced? And now we are treating divorce worse than zina. And that makes absolutely no sense, right? We have lost the true meaning and the true purpose of Islam, right? Where we are now taking the view of society over the view of Allah, right? That we are taking the negative repercussions of society and using and overriding the negative repercussions that may occur to us and our children on the day of judgment. It makes absolutely no sense. It's flawed logic, right? And so I think what we need to do is understand that obviously zina is worse than divorce, if I haven't made that clear, okay? And facilitate marriages for our young children, even if in a few years they get divorced. Obviously, may Allah protect our marriages. And I know I talk a lot on this channel about, like I said earlier, the negative impacts of divorce, but sometimes, right, divorce is necessary. Sometimes divorce isn't the end of the world. Sometimes divorce is better than your children committing zina. So I hope the message is clear. I am not, like I said, promoting divorce. But what I am doing is trying to address this issue of zina, right? We have so much money. We have so much, we have houses and apartments and we have all these different things, but we want our children to, finish college and finish whatever. Like sometimes we forget that we were 20 years old once, right? And that feelings that we had and the urges that we had, and we think that for some reason our children are going to be able to hold on to those, not commit any mistakes until they're like 25, 26 years old. It makes absolutely no sense to hold your pants for 10 years, right? That's not fair. That's not biologically sound, logic here, right? So I hope, inshallah, and I pray that we can facilitate marriages for our children. I pray that we can understand the laws of Allah the way that they're supposed to be. I pray that we can understand that zina is worse than divorce. Let's facilitate marriages, especially for our young children, right? And for our young adults. And I know I say children, but really I mean adults. And facilitate marriage for them, make it easy for them. And if, people mature and they change and things don't work out, okay, they didn't work out, but it's better that they don't commit zina. So I pray that this video was beneficial. And if you stayed to the end of the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more videos. And inshallah, until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.